Welcome back to DC Silver Age Storytime, and today's story comes from Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 55, published in September 1961, with story by Robert Bernstein and art by Curt Swan. As you know, Jimmy Olsen's ancestors were Vikings. I didn't know that. But never did the red-headed cub reporter dream that a trick of destiny would enable him to meet some of his forebears personally. Be prepared for a Viking ship full of surprises, as Superman's young pal finds himself playing the swashbuckling role of the Viking from the future called Jimmy the Red, Thor's best pal. Wah wah. I promised I would save thee, Jimmy the Red, whenever you got in trouble, so here I am. Gosh, just as Superman responds to the supersonic SOS of my signal watch, so Thor the Viking god comes to my rescue whenever I blow this horn. One day, at the planet, as cub reporter Jimmy Olsen gets a visitor. Olsen, I'm Professor Yale, the archaeologist. Please contact Superman at once. I've discovered this Viking rune tablet, and it must be destroyed by Superman. But I can't reach Superman now. He's in the future on a scientific mission. Well, then contact him when he returns, and put this tablet in a safe place. Anyone who translates it will be in great danger. But Jimmy's curiosity has been aroused, and so that afternoon at the Metropolis Library. I can't wait for Superman's return. I'll study the Vikings' language and see for myself what is so dangerous about translating the hieroglyphics on this tablet. A few days later, now that I've mastered the Norse picture writing, I see what Professor Yale meant. It says here that anyone who reads the last line of the tablet will go back in time to the age of the Vikings. Well, I don't believe it. What a great news story this will make. I can just see the headlines. Jimmy Olsen defies Viking legend. I must borrow some authentic Viking stuff from a movie company that just completed a Viking picture at its Metropolis studios. Next morning on Metropolis Bay. I think it's crazy, Jimmy, borrowing that Viking costume and that boat. What if you do disappear when you translate the last line? So what? Nothing terrible will happen. I've been on time trips before. Okay, Jimmy, it's your Viking funeral. Hold my purse while I set up the camera to take your picture if and when you vanish. Right. I'll start translating the forbidden passage. Shortly as Jimmy reads the mystic line, Foolish mortals, Loki hath tricked you forever. Wilt thou be a prisoner in the past? Kaboom! The next moment, smash! A lightning bolt has shattered the tablet. I am starting to fade away. Good gracious. The warning on the tablet was on the level. Jimmy is disappearing. As the miasma clears, Jimmy finds himself centuries back in the past. Holy smokes. I've been transported to the Viking era. Well, what's that noise? It sounds as if the whole earth was shaking. Roar. As Jimmy goes ashore to investigate the rumbling sound. Great Scott, it's a man chained to the rock. Every time he moves his feet, it sounds like an earthquake. By Odin, I was hoping aid might come if I made a terrific din. Help me, lad. I am Thor, god of thunder. Loki, the god of mischief and magic, tricked me and bound me to these rocks with magic chains. Yonder lies my magic hammer. If thou wouldst wield it, thou couldst destroy these chains. Okay, Thor, I'll wield it gladly. An instant later, Loki is a pest. He used magic to bring me from the future into your time. Crack, poing. Ah, neat blow, lad. Thou swingest a hammer like a blacksmith. Thou hast freed me. Presently, as Jimmy explains how he came to be trapped in the Viking age. Luckily, I know something of your language. I and thou art welcome to speak it here forever. By the way, we'll call thee Jimmy the Red, after the famed Viking warrior Eric the Red. Suddenly, as Thor carries Jimmy upward, he can fly at super speed. Naturally, I am a Viking god. I have many amazing powers. Soon we will arrive at Asgard, home of the gods. Shortly at Asgard, as Jimmy meets Odin and Freya, king and queen of the gods. We thank thee, Jimmy the Red, for rescuing Thor, but now thou hast made an enemy of Loki, and we must protect thee from his wrath. I will look after Jimmy myself, Freya. Take this horn, Jimmy. Blow it whenever you art in trouble. I will hear its sound from the greatest distance, and fly instantly to thy rescue. Gosh, thanks, Thor. This is like the signal watch I used to summon Superman. Later, as Thor flies Jimmy back to Earth. This is wonderful. Just as I am Superman's pal in the future, now I'm Thor's pal in the past. Ah, so that youth I tricked into our world helped me, my enemy Thor. Well, I, Loki, will see that he is punished for his interference. The following day, as Jimmy explores a glacier, I will use my magic to melt the glacier. Then Olsen will drown in a lake of icy water. Good grief, the glacier is disappearing before my very eyes. It's being converted into water. Crack. Moments later, I can't swim. My legs and arms are getting numb. I won't survive a minute in this freezing water. But if I blow the horn, maybe Thor can save me. Wah. Even before the echoes of the horn call die away, whoosh. Thor, you arrived within seconds, just as my friend Superman did whenever my life was in danger. I promised thee I would, Jimmy the Red. Now give me that horn. Quick. As Thor swiftly uses the horn like a straw. Ruff. Wow, Thor's got superpowers to burn. He's drinking up all the water. In a few seconds, this whole area will be dry land. Thus, as Jimmy's life is saved. This is Loki's mischief, Jimmy. As I warned thee, he's become thy mortal enemy. Yes, just as Lex Luthor is Superman's arch-enemy in the future. Curse Thor. He rescued Olsen, but next time I'll get him for sure. Later, as Thor takes Jimmy to a village for some dry clothes. What carvest thou on the rune stone, Jimmy? The story of how you saved my life. Yes, Thor, I'll see to it that people remember your heroic deeds. Now, someday in the future, this tablet will be discovered. And as everyone marvels at Jimmy's news and rewards the Viking reporter with gifts, thou art clever to write such exciting stories, Jimmy the Red. Gosh, this girl resembles Lucy Lane, with one big difference. She admires me. Maybe life here won't be so awful after all. Next day in the woods. You can't walk any further, Jimmy. Ellie, the giant of old age, dwells beyond. He is the enemy of youth. Everything he touches withers and dies. But I hear the sounds of snoring, Ellie. Or Ellie must be asleep. Come on, he can't hurt us now. However, as boy and girl tiptoe ahead, shh, we're safe as long as he's sleeping. Aha, here's my chance to gain a neat revenge on Olsen. I'll awaken the giant by using my magic to cause a bee's nest to fall on him. So, oh my gosh, a bee's nest fell on the giant. He's getting up in a terrible mood. We better beat it, Ingrid. Zzz. But as the enraged Colossus spies the fleeing pair, stupid children, I'll teach thee to invade my forest. See, Jimmy, Ellie touches blooming trees, and they wither into dry wood. Gosh, we're sunk if he catches us. I'll blow Thor's horn. But even as Jimmy blows one desperate note, he's got us. We've been turned into old fossils. Whoosh! Don't despair, Jimmy. The Red, I'll undo the giant's evil work. Thor. As the god of thunder battles it out with the giant. Enough, Thor, I yield. Whack, whack. I'll spare thee, Ellie, only if thou wilt restore youth to my friends. They did not harm thee. It was Loki, most likely, who caused that beehive to drop on thee. After Ellie returns Jimmy and the girl to normal. Look, Olsen has carved another runestone about how Thor defeated Ellie. Lad, if thou wishest to report a really great tale, pirates are looting seaports in the north. Thanks, stranger. I'll go there now. Shortly as Jimmy rows his Viking boat northward. Ha! Little does the young fool know that it was Loki who sent him on this errand of doom. Golly, I'm making slow progress. The pirate raids will be over by the time I arrive. I'll signal Thor for help. Wah! As Thor responds to the horn call and willingly takes Jimmy's oar. Gosh, Thor, you're rowing at super speed. We'll be there in no time. Aye, Jimmy the Red, it pleases me to help thee get an exciting new story to carve on thy runestone. Presently, at a coastal village, aye, we are undone. Thor hath destroyed our vessel. Now watch, Jimmy, I will drag the other pirate boat to shore by its anchor chain. But as Thor reaches the other craft, the anchor chains are magic chains. They wrapped themselves around me. Aye, Thor, 'tis I, Loki, who have lured thee into a trap. Now I will drop thee to the bottom of the fjord, and then kill Jimmy the Red. However, as Jimmy thinks fast, like all evil men, Loki must be vain. Maybe I could trick him. Loki, before you get rid of me, let me leave the world a sign of your greatness. Gaze upon the money of the future. Great leaders are pictured on these coins. Lincoln on a penny, Jefferson on a nickel, and Roosevelt on a dime. Use your magic to replace one of their images with yours. Which coin do you choose? The penny, the dime, or the nickel? Why, the biggest coin, of course. The one thou callest nickel. Yea, I'm disappearing. Puff. I thought so. I had a hunch Loki was not like Luthor, but like Mr. Mxyzptlk, the imp from the fifth dimension who plagued Superman. Then, after Jimmy frees Thor, I guess that Loki must be the original ancestor of Mr. Mxyzptlk, and that he too can be sent to the fifth dimension for 90 days. If he could be tricked into saying his name backwards, which he did when he pronounced Ickle, the last syllable of nickel. The Ickle sound is Loki backwards. A brilliant ruse, Jimmy. How can I show thee my gratitude? Well, you're like Superman. You possess super strength. Use your might to fling me back through the time barrier. Much as I enjoy being your pal, I'd rather be in the future where I belong. Then, as Thor's shot puts Jimmy away, farewell, Jimmy the Red. The gods of Asgard will surely miss thee. And I assume at that point he just burned up from the friction. Later in Metropolis, so I met the Superman of the Viking world, and also the first Mr. Mxyzptlk. Okay, Jimmy the Red. But next time you take a trip, leave a forwarding address. Your face would have been really red if your hunch about Loki had proved wrong.